if you even for a second think it's a good idea for Apple and Google and Facebook to help you be less addicted, you are on the path of losing. You don't like Instagram? Delete it. The second we allow ourselves to let the machines help us help ourselves is the second you become more vulnerable. I believe that.
Could you explain that more?
Sure. Like, you want Apple to limit the amount of time you're on Instagram for you? Yeah. Like, you think that's the way, that's what, you want that? Mazel tov, take it. But like, I promise you, then there's gonna be the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. You're either social media is exposing us, it's not changing us. There is no social media, brother. They're empty pipes. Social media doesn't make you mean. Social media doesn't make you insecure. You're insecure, you're mean. We're getting exposed, not changed. We're addicted to human interaction. The reason the world exists in a world where we've had atomic bombs for 70 years is we like each other. We're not addicted to social media, we are interactive creatures. You're addicted to people. Cool, you don't want to be on Instagram? Go read Vogue. Knock yourself out. This is a very fun thing for me to watch evolve. People don't like being held accountable. So, a lot of things, the way that these platforms claim they're addictive is the way a lot of things are addictive. Are we gonna ban pretty people? Are we gonna limit our time to watching comedy? Are we gonna limit the time we listen to music? This is the demonization of technology. Let me give you a really good piece of advice. Go read the articles around the kaleidoscope. I'm being dead serious. Go Google the early articles around the kaleidoscope. You'll think you're reading about Instagram. History's got all the answers. I could not be in this program because I failed all my classes, but the one class I was good at was history, and it is the continuous framework of how I think about a lot of this stuff. Literally, the articles of the kaleidoscope are making the same arguments now. So, if you have FOMO, it's because you have levels of insecurity that are raging, which has a lot more to do with the way you were parented and where you grew up and the natural DNA you were given, not Snapchat. So how do I think it's gonna play out? In its worst, our government gets disproportionately involved, which will be fine. I could care less. Just so everybody knows, I care about attention, not social media. So if we all stop doing social media, I'm gonna figure out where your eyes and ears are going. You're gonna go somewhere. We're not locking ourselves up in a room. So I don't give a Google and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok and LinkedIn can disappear off the face of the earth tomorrow, and I'd probably be the single happiest person because my most comfortable state is reacting quickly to where attention goes. I just feel bad for any human being that thinks that's gonna help them, because they're gonna find something else to complain about or to be controlled by. This is an internal framework conversation, not an external technology conversation.
You are where you are because of you. Because of the choices you've made, because of the mindset that you have, because of the lack of accountability. You are where you are because of you. And that is a very tough message to hear, but it's also a very liberating and freeing message to hear, because it's so comfortable and so easy to blame other people. We would love to blame other people. You know, it's so easy to say, well, I'm here because of my parents, you know, or I'm here because of the country that I was born in, or I'm stuck here because of the president and the policies that the president put into place. I'm here because of XYZ, whatever story happened to you, right? It's so much easier to stay stuck in blaming other people because it means we don't have to do anything. Because it means that it's not your responsibility to fix it. Like it makes sense. This is why you're stuck, right? Like, oh, well, this is why if I had this set up for me, then of course it'd be more successful. If my parents were like this, then of course I'd be more successful. It takes the accountability and the responsibility off of your shoulders. And that's a very comforting message, but it keeps you stuck. It keeps you staying exactly where you are. It keeps you in slow growth or no growth mode. Where when you can flip it to, I'm here because of me. And I will end up in a different spot because of me. That where I start right now is not where I'm going to finish. That where I am right now is not going to be where I end up because of the actions that I'm going to take. One important thought that I want to get across in this video is there is a very big difference between taking accountability and placing blame. What we want to do is blame. We want to blame others, and we don't want to blame ourselves. I'm not asking you to blame yourself. Blaming doesn't do anything. Blaming is still negative thinking. Blaming is still being stuck in the past. You're sitting there even blaming yourself. You're stuck in the past. Oh, I should have done this. How many times have you done that? How many times have you done that? I should have done this. I should have been more proactive. I should have taken that chance when I had the opportunity. I should have asked that question. I should have started that business 3 years ago. I should have, right? You're blaming yourself. That's not what this is. Taking accountability is not blaming yourself for all your past mistakes. Because if you're stuck in blaming others or blaming yourself, you stay stuck still too. You're in a really negative mindset and you stay stuck and don't do anything. That's not what this is. What this is saying, I don't want to stay stuck here. And the difference is going to be me taking accountability for my life. So how do we start to get there? Let me share a couple pointers, okay? Number one, find some heroes. Find some heroes. Chances are, whoever you look up to, whoever your hero is, whether it's Oprah Winfrey, Kevin O'Leary, Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, whoever your hero is, your hero probably started with less than what you have right now. Less money, less support, less freedom, less opportunities. They started with less than what you have right now. So how did they break free? How did they get out of the situation that they were in, the bigger hole that they were in compared to the hole that you're in? How did they get out? Because that not only gives you strategy, but also gives you the hope and motivation to recognize, well, if this person could do it from a worse situation to what I'm in right now, the difference is they didn't stay stuck in the blame game. They took responsibility and they got out. You can too. Surround yourself with heroes, whether that's watching YouTube videos, whether that's reading books, listening to podcasts, but be around your heroes because they have a different mindset. Most people do not take responsibility or accountability. They don't. We don't want to because it's the harder path. We want to take the easy way out. So the people you're listening to, the people who are around you, the people who are in your life right now, likely are not the ones saying, I'm responsible for my life and I'm going to go fix it. Right? People around you are doing the opposite. They say, no, it's this person's fault. So we have to start to shift that. You have to be around your heroes more. So who are the people you look up to, you respect, you love the most, that have the mindset that you want to have, the belief that you want to have, the confidence that you want to have? Who are those people? And then surround yourself with them more. Subscribe to more YouTube channels, the right YouTube channels. Follow more people on Instagram, the right people. Do a real audit of the people that you're hanging out with, even virtually, right? GaryVee or Elon Musk might not come and mentor you personally, but you can learn a lot from them, from their content, from their interviews, from their books, from their podcasts, from their shows. You can learn a lot from them if you choose to surround yourself with them. So do an audit of who you follow on Instagram, of who you follow on YouTube. Do an audit and see how many of these people make you feel better about yourself, give you hope, ambition, courage, that when you watch their stuff, you consume their stuff, you're around it, you leave feeling better. If you're scrolling through Instagram and you close it and you feel worse about yourself, it's your responsibility to fix that, because there's lots of people you could follow who will give you motivation, inspiration, hope, courage, momentum, action. YouTube as well. You could dive down and watch 8 hours of YouTube and then feel terrible about yourself because you just got distracted, were entertaining yourself, you were consumed by negative content. You can switch that, unsubscribe from all those people and start to follow more channels. That's why I make so much content. Holy cow, how much content do I make every day? I don't know. Across all the channels, there's so much content, but you know what? It's always positive. It's always spreading belief. It's always filled with hope. You'll never see videos on my channel talking about how terrible somebody is, or how we should cancel this person, or how bad the world is, right? And whether you love my content, great, or somebody else is awesome, but most important is the feeling you have about yourself. Because when you're filled with hope, confidence, courage, your life totally changes. So step number one is you have to be around your heroes. Step number two, to starting to take responsibility, is what's the action that you can do today? You know, what can you do today to start building some momentum? If you accept that, hey, it's not my fault where I'm at, but it's my responsibility to fix it, right? It's not your fault, it's not blame, but it's your responsibility to change it for yourself and for others. That you can change it, that you could be the one, you could be the difference maker, where this all starts to change, right? What is that immediate momentum that you need to take? Do you need to launch your own YouTube channel? Do you need to start writing your book? Do you need to create your program? Do you need to get on stage and speak? Do you need to launch that service or product? Do you need to do that collaboration? Like what's the next step? Because the biggest thing that's missing for most people is just momentum. You've got the ideas and the heart and the drive and the love and the care and the desire to do good, and you want to serve and you want to make money and you want to build a bit. You want all these things, great, but what's the momentum that's happening? What's the next step to get you out of the hole? And then number three is just scheduling that in. Because no matter how bold and confident and ambitious you feel right now, this is a process that takes time. And you can do a lot in one day, but we tend to overestimate what we can do in a day and underestimate what we can do, you know, in a year, or in 2 years, or in 5 years. So the difference is going to be the actual momentum that we start taking consistently. So you have one great day today, amazing. What's happening tomorrow? What's happening the next day? And it's creating a calendar that you can stay consistent on. You don't have to stay stuck. Where you are in 1 year can be a totally different spot than where you are right now. The difference is not beating yourself up, not blaming yourself for the people around you, not saying how much people screwed you over and just keep on thinking about the negative things that happened to you growing up. And instead saying, you know what? It's my responsibility to fix this. I'm taking accountability for my life, and I refuse to be stuck in the same spot 1 year from today.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
When did you know Wine Library was a great vehicle for entrepreneurship, and did you ever think about quitting?
I knew Wine Library was right because my biggest goal at 18 years old was to go and work for my family business for a decade. I stayed longer to build a massive business for my parents because I loved them so much, and I had to give more than I took. And so they gave me so much, including life itself. And so, you know, it was a brain twist of like, how do I do this? So the biggest thing I'm proud of on earth is that from when I tell kids to be patient, they don't know my narrative a lot of times. I, as a 22-year-old kid, worked for my parents' business for 12 years, every day, every Saturday, gave up my entire social life during my 20s, which is the prime, took my family business from a $3 to a $65 million business, and then left at 34 years old with no money because I never paid myself more than $100,000 a year because I poured all the money back into the business, and I owned 0.0% of the business. What do you think the minimum amount of money you want to make for your life? Like, what would be the minimum amount of money that you make every year that allowed you to live and do that content media site? What do you think?
Maybe 40,000, 50,000 pounds, maybe.
Great. So you're like, what is amazing about that, if that's where you're at, well then, at this young of an age, and that's where you're at, and the fact that you're even here, and you know, it's just unbelievable amounts of content in written, audio, and visual form on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and podcast. And I will tell you, I would be flabbergasted in 3, 4, 5, 6 years, unless you suck, which you may. But if you don't suck, and you have that little of a financial need, right, which is remarkable, which is the biggest thing. Somebody here, I don't know if they're here, said, you made me realize I didn't need Rolexes and things of that nature, right? Like, the biggest reason so many of you will fail is your number for success is far greater than his. You think you need 1 million, which will then mean that you're gonna do a lot of things when you don't get 1 million very quickly that won't ever get you 1 million. So if you think what I just said is cool, which is bleed for 6 years in a row, you'll probably get sponsorship or sales of product to 40,000 a year. To me, that's what I did. I knew what I wanted. I was willing to give up my 20s for it. Gave them up. Gave them up. You know, somebody said, it's difficult not to document right now. I'm like, but I didn't, right? They're like, what, should I build my business or should I document? I'm like, both. He's like, well, I gotta pick one. I'm like, build your business. Like, so if your ambitions are that humble, which they are, that's incredible. That excites me. Because by the way, here's the funny part. That's who I was too. I just needed 100,000 a year. Just, that seemed rich to me, right? Like, I was like, cool, I'll be okay. Like I'll have a house, like, you know, it's not, you know, I just needed to play, I needed the game. And too many of you in here want the stuff, not the game. When you fall in love with the game, everything's different because you've already won. That's real. It sounds cliche, but it's real. Just enough. Like, living by somebody else's rules is a humongous mistake. I've just literally sat down with 5 people under the age of 27 and it's so refreshing. It is so refreshing. If you have not jumped on the bandwagon of doing exactly what the you want to do, which is skiing for the next 3 years or working at a job that's not what your parents want or what society wants, this video is just called enough. Enough. Make this little 1-2 minute video, depends on when I finish, the piece of content that gets you to stand up and take life by its throat. Do something. Stop being scared. Stop letting the way you were raised, the fear as an offense, take that away. Let me be the person. I'll take the blame. I loved that some of my employees are like, my parents don't love what you're saying. Good. Parents, because if you are playing defense and if you are living a life where your kids' lives are the way you're being fulfilled, you're a loser, parents. And so enough parents imposing their way. You want your kids to be happy? On your terms. Enough the kid that's sitting right now at a desk and saw this in a feed and you hate your job, enough. Stand up, get the out of here and do you. Live your life. You got one life. Do something about it. My success is that I prefer change, I'm comfortable in change, and I realize change is the only thing that allows you to win in the long term. The 98% of the human race, and maybe higher, doesn't like it. We are having a macro change. We're having a societal change. You know, like, I'll be honest with you, I'm like ambitious and realistic. One of the biggest reasons I kind of went even harder core at my personal brand like 15 months ago, I'm like, back to what's worked for us, which is like, hey, here's my example, at least it's something to hold. I was like, I'm gonna make myself the most famous person in America on this theory, and then it'll be undeniable. And by the way, it's working. I'm really good at underpriced attention and culture. I really am. You know, it's so funny, you start realizing your life. That's why I was good at baseball cards. I decided Frank Thomas and Kenny Lofton were gonna be better than most people thought. So I just bought a lot of rookie cards for underpriced costs, and I was right. But what I'm really great at is I understand consumer behavior and attention just fast enough and earlier than most people, and I've got an uncanny ability of that. Let me build a machine around that. And so for the last 9 years, I've built a company called VaynerMedia. We're a $200 million company in revenue with no funding that does agency work, and we own a female publishing company like a Refinery 29. And my ambition is to build out the communication Death Star to deploy it against my personal brand, the nonprofits I care about, but ultimately my goal is to buy the New York Jets, and the way I think I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna buy iconic brands and things that mattered in the world that are gonna get over the next decade, and then I'm gonna rebrand them and run them through my machine. And so I'm building this huge agency media company that is really just a front and a proxy for my long-term ambitions. It trades underpriced attention and culture more efficiently than I think any other machine out there right now, and that's why cool things are happening for me.
Two things I want to do. I want everybody to get out their cell phone because we are trying to all build our social media presence here and wherever you are. So if you get out your phone and follow Joe Hyde on Instagram and like the Facebook page for PR and Roofing. My question.
Bro, hold on. Did you really think that was a good idea?
Hey, we're here.
No, bro, I honestly think that was one of like the worst moves I've ever seen because and I'm not trying to razz you. I'm trying to give you love. I love the passion to win. The problem is you tried to close on the first move. You brought them no value and you asked them to bring you value. I will stand up here and give a load of value and never mention one time for any of them to follow me, and a lot more of them will follow me than are gonna follow that move that you just did. I get it, but this was back to the question that just happened, and this is why I want you to win. That move is always gonna lose. You can't go, tonight when you go out in Vegas and you see a pretty girl at the bar, you can't go up to her and the opening move is like, here's my key, let's go. But that's what you just did. Let him hold it. But that's what you just did to this audience with business.
Because this is an industry where it's kind of like dog eat dog world. So why are you succeeding and giving all your secrets away at the same time?
I mean, because doing the right thing is the right thing. Karma is practical. You know, I heard somebody rant earlier, right? That's like, hey, when I win, I don't think it's coming out of you. The guy that closed, I couldn't know who was on stage, but I believe in that, right? Because I love the idea of 85 people here going and listening to me, winning. I didn't make anything for it, but it then becomes brand. If she goes out and listens, and then 2 years later, she's having dinner with a friend, and she's talking about what happened to her life, that friend might be the CEO of GE. You know, I'm playing with the biggest brands in the world. I'm not trying to monetize my audience. I'm trying to just bring the most value in the world and let that lift all my other opportunities. So I think giving away your best secrets is the greatest strategy for 2 reasons. Karma is practical and leads to more business, but here's the secret, and it's even funnier. 99% of these people are not gonna do anything about it. Somewhere about 5 or 6 years ago, I realized this fact. Holy shit, people aren't gonna do anything with this. So, there's still gonna be plenty for me, and I'm gonna be the most lovable guy ever. I love this. So, you know, you've gotta try stuff. The biggest reason you don't know what you want to do is you haven't tasted enough things, and the biggest reason you're not tasting enough things is you're worried about finding it too fast. Start with the finish line.
All right.
Too many people are just worried about tomorrow. Go backwards from what you want to achieve financially and in your legacy, and then make all your behavior every day map to your finish line. The way that a 20-year-old can make the world better 20 or 30 years down the line is by making themselves better first. I think people don't realize that the way to be selfless is to be selfish. It's very hard to change the world if you're not good. To me, when I look around this many people being in their 20s, everybody's judging themselves way too early. What I would do is gather as many experiences as possible, you know? You're not lost in life, you're just early in the process. You weren't born into a rich family, you're the wrong skin tone, you're this, you're that, I get it. But we got the at-bat. You won the lotto. You won it, you've got the at-bat. Do something with it, especially now. Your grandparents didn't have this. The internet is crazy. It just is. It just is. And so, why do you think everybody's getting outed now? Because 3 old white guys don't control the media anymore. The f do you think is happening here? This is the greatest era ever for anybody. The market, the platform is the internet. This is unbelievable, unprecedented times. We will look back at this 200 years from now like these fuckers had a good opportunity. This is buying real estate. Do you know somebody bought the land that we're on right now for $1 at one point? That's what's happening with us on the internet. The attention of the end consumer is cheap right now. You can grab it around whatever the you want to be about, and it doesn't cost you anything other than your time. And so many of you are complaining, but then are too fancy to put in the 15 hours a day to get it. I got no respect for that. I got no respect for anybody who complains and isn't putting in the work. Because it's an excuse to not do. There is ridiculous confusion in the system. I am winning and will win at all time levels. Get ready, you will tell your grandkids that you once saw me live. Like, I mean that. And by the way, it's not because, by the way, real quick, because I don't want claps for that, I need you to understand how I think about that. It's not because I think I'm fancy or great. I think it's because I'm very calm and simple about one simple, tiny thing. Underpriced attention. It's so grossly underpriced. I'm asking you, let me tell you the story about MTV. When MTV came out in the early to mid 80s, how many people remember when MTV was launched? When MTV was launched, the biggest bands in the world got together for a dinner that one of their managers told me about and decided that they would not make music videos for MTV because that was giving away music for free. That why would we spend money to make a video, put it on MTV, when that's giving people the music for free and they will not go out and buy the record. At the same token, up and coming artists, Madonna, Duran Duran, and on, understood that it was where all the attention of the youth was, and it was a gateway drug to the sale. They understood that MTV was a jab, not the right hook. Facebook and Instagram at this second is the most underpriced scaled jab in the history of marketing, except for one other moment. From 2001 to 2005, Google AdWords was a ridiculously underpriced jab. How many people here took advantage of Google 2001 to 2005? Raise your hands. So for you really know. That's how I did it. Wine Library had no money, but when you're buying people who want to buy wine for 5 and 10 cents a click, it works out real fast when it's that underpriced. One company during that time acted the way I'm aspiring to act right now as Gary Vaynerchuk on social media. One company from 2001 to 2005 spent enough to justify how underpriced it was. That company was a small book company called Amazon. Amazon, as you all know now, is the company of our world. It will win everything. It hasn't even begun. Literally, the only thing that will stop Amazon is antitrust government involvement. Otherwise, it will destroy everything. It got its fuel from Google 2001 to 2005. That occurrence is happening right now on Facebook and Instagram, and we're not squeezing the juice out of that fruit anywhere close. At least we have picked up the fruit. I'm getting more and more intrigued by mindset because I used to think of it as fluffy, like self-help, and now I think of it more as strategy. What's your strategy in life? Somebody asked me on Instagram after I posted this, Gary, if the mindset has been skewed, how can you bring it back? And I answered by surrounding yourself with people who have the mindset you aspire to. My friends, please understand that mindset is controllable in the same way that all our opinions are controllable. The key is to add more people with optimism and cut people with negativity. It's very, very simple. Now, it's very hard to cut people with pessimism, cynicism, and negativity when they are the people that are the closest to you. parents, siblings, spouse. But the bottom line is, if you're asking the question, I'm gonna give you the answer. The answer is add more people with positivity and optimism and cut people with pessimism and cynicism. Who you surround yourself matters. What content you consume matters. I basically suffocate myself for a long period of my time and created an environment that was based on offense and optimism, and now I know no different. Please do the same for you. Make that move. Mold, and I mean mold, your mindset by what you consume and with whom you consume it. I would argue that well more than 50% of the people in this audience are here today because they worry about the way they would be judged by one and or two family members in their inner 7-8 people circle. If you're not feeling it, find new friends. I'm being dead serious about this. This one is real big for me. Who you hang out with is a huge deal. And again, these are all tried and true things, right? We've heard you're the whatever of the 5 friends you spent, like that's real. Add one new winner friend. Like, you know what I mean? Add one new winner friend and cut one loser friend. Like, yeah, I know he's been your boy since 4th grade, but he sits at home and smokes weed and plays 2K all day. Like, you can only love him so much. On a bigger macro, patience and failure, they all ladder up to one thing, which is insecurity. The reason people don't put themselves in a position to fail, the reason people aren't patient, is they value other people's opinions too much, which then dictates their behavior, which then gets into all of this. Realize is if you, like, don't hold on to it with the thought of in case it fails, because you just need to realize it's your scarlet letter. Literally the reason people are scared, always, is the outside force. Having a failing business and everyone's like, oh, see, you could never do, or whatever the cliche is, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter. You know why? So that's one piece.
Yeah. But they told me I couldn't do this. It'll never
And even if it didn't succeed, what? They're such better people? Like what, I'm such a better person than other people because I can build a business? That's 12 years ago today, I asked somebody on my team to run to Best Buy, pick up a little Canon camera, set it up. I picked 3 bottles of wine, I put them on a table, I filmed it. First time I've ever filmed anything with the purpose of anybody seeing it. Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of Wine Library TV. I am Gary Vaynerchuk, Director of Operations here at Wine Library at winelibrary.com. And it started the process of where we are here today, 12 years later. When I hear people lacking patience or wanting it so fast or not understanding the marathon, I've basically been producing content for the internet for the last 12 years. And I really wish so many of you could understand how quick that's gone and how much longer I have to go, but most of all, realize how much didn't happen in those first several years. How much I needed to persevere and build an audience, how much engaging and replying to people along the way and building relationships and hugging and kissing babies and grinding and believing. And most of all, what's so interesting is I sit here right now outside this airport knowing that 65% of you didn't know who I was 24 months ago, 15 months ago, that my current place of attention is a current phenomenon. It's a 15, 16 month phenomenon that things kind of took a little bit of a hockey stick moment, which means 10 and a half years of grinding and putting out stuff and wanting to share my thoughts on wine, on business, on entrepreneurship, day in and day out, while I worked all the time, building businesses, while this wasn't even my full-time thing. I have so much empathy that you want it. I have so much empathy and want for you to get yours. But Jesus, this doesn't happen overnight. It just doesn't. I know that if I can suffocate all of you today to take 25% of your take-home income this year and pour it back into 2 people who do video and written word and put it into Facebook and Instagram ads, literally all of you will email me 24 months. Actually, if you can start right away, literally 25% of you are going to come to me this time next year, right here, and be like, holy shit, I've been listening to your stuff for 7 years. Your keynote was different in Miami last year at this time. I listened. I said, I don't need to go to Ibiza 3 times this year. I don't need to buy a better BMW this year to make me feel good with the neighbors. I don't need another pair of Supremes or Yeezys. I took the money and I put it into Karen, the film woman, and Rick, the ad guy, and now my business is 2x. This will 100% work. Even if you suck on camera, have zero charisma, are only 8 days in the industry, this will work because it is such underpriced attention that the ROI will work. That if you're a 2 in skill, the ads are a 20 in the 10-point scale, and it closes the delta of you being average. If you literally, and I've said this for 7 years, if you literally go interview the guy who owns the gym in town, the guy who owns the pizza shop, the woman that owns the insurance brokerage, if you literally just interview your local community, that you become the local newspaper in 3-minute video form on your phone. You don't even need to fucking hire D-Rock or Babin or Iris. Your phone. If you literally take it, selfie it, and interview the principal of the school in your neighborhood, you will become the local celebrity who can then transact on whatever you're trying to sell that group. If you bring value to people, if you interview the best high school basketball player, literally just that, your business will change. Or if you literally just give the advice of how you got here, what you learned, if you shared your thoughts, if you do not understand that you were a media company, that you will not be as successful as you are today in a decade. And that's not interesting when the alternative is you're 4 to 7 times bigger. The stake, guys, you have to understand what happened to Blockbuster and Netflix, what happened with Uber and taxi companies, what happened with hotels versus Airbnb is happening with you as a human in your business. And so when you have the best hand and you know it because you've been paying attention and you know how to play poker, you go all in. Everybody here is playing Facebook, Instagram, social media, YouTube, podcasting, like they have the best hand and they're calling. And you're not goading them into getting all the money. You're just folding. And that's this audience. So can you imagine what I feel is going on outside this stadium? So this is a call to action for everybody to do me one favor, and I do think I can get a lot of you to do it, which excites the of me. Please, right now, listen, maybe you've laid out money, maybe you're in the middle of a renovation, maybe you're paying for your kids' college, mazel tov. I know there's nuances on everybody's life. But if you are in a position where literally your take-home income this year is literally the stuff you're gonna go and do things with, please, from 25% to 90% if you can go humble, please take that money and hire 2 people to make a lot more content for you about you and your business. And please give the rest of the money to Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. And I fundamentally promise you, you will walk here to this conference next year and personally thank me emotionally because your business will change. And I know not one of you has gone all in.
How can we harness the hustle gene? How can we pass on the hustle gene
You can't.
to our company and to, how can we instill this?
You can't. You can't. What you can do is you can hustle and then people will either ride up to it or run away from it. Like, you know, I don't judge my people. First of all, nobody that works for you should hustle as hard as you. Period. You want somebody to hustle as hard as you that works for you? Give them the same economics you're taking home. That's the truth. Number 2, with kids, rich kids aren't gonna care as much as you about money because you didn't have any, and so you had to fight for it, and then that's just real. So I think I set the tone for my company. Some people rise up, some people find their work-life balance, some people bounce. I'm not in the game of thinking that's important. If I feel good about what I'm paying somebody for what I'm getting in return, I don't need to judge that they need to work harder, so I don't want to get a deal for my people. Do you understand? I want my people to be on my team. not me getting more value out of them. It's a huge mistake of business owners. The biggest reason people are unhappy right now is because they value somebody else's opinion more than they value their own. That is the number one blanket statement that I've got for everybody. Your mother's point of view on you, your wife's point of view on you, your boyfriend's point of view, your homie's point of view. Like, the reason I'm super happy is nobody can tell me nothing. My wife, mom, and daughter could walk into my room right now, tell me I'm a piece of crap, and I would be 100% unfazed. That is some gangster emotional structure. And that's why I can never lose. I know who I am, and I'm unfazed. So if my mom, daughter, and wife could come in and tell me I'm a piece of crap and I'm cool, what do you think that troll on Instagram that says I suck does? Nothing. So you need to figure out the following. It is very likely that either your mom or dad screwed you up. They made you insecure. They didn't love you enough. They told you you weren't good because they weren't good, and misery loves company. Once you face that demon, once you cut out negativity and the people that hold you down, and you surround yourself with positivity, and don't confuse delusion. Don't watch my videos and rah up and you don't put any work in, nothing good's gonna happen. You're just gonna watch my videos. So don't get it confused, but life is basic. You're either on the optimism team or you're on the pessimism team. You're either on the offense or you're on the defense. The reason people are unhappy is because, let's talk about money and unhappiness. Your 3 best friends have a BMW and you don't. You think it's that. You don't realize that I loved when all my friends had BMWs and I had nothing. It's just perspective, man. What are we doing here? Like, what are you valuing? Like, what everybody's on defense. All the immigration issues in the world. Nobody's taking yours. You think some immigrant's taking your job? You suck. Like, if you think that, right? You think somebody else is taking your spot? This is the world. We live in the rich, like, you know how rich this world, in the UK market? You live in the UK and you're complaining? Get the hell out of here. So that's practical. You have a family member or a childhood that put you in a mindset of defense. And listen, I know I'm gonna get a lot of hits on Twitter and Instagram about this interview now when I spit this, because I know a lot of people haven't heard of me or have context on me. Let me just say this. The answer to everything is, and what now? Right? Like, I know people grew up in alcoholic households. I know people were molested. I know people had somebody steal all their money. Here's my problem. Nobody cares. Like, what are you waiting for? Like there is no fair fairy flying down from the earth and saying, you were born an African American in America where that's an issue. Here's $1 million. That's not happening. So my thing is, instead of dwelling and wishing how it was, understand, back to the next practical part of your question, that the internet is now here. And guess what? The internet's not a 76-year-old white man. It's the internet. And that means everybody's got a shot. So go take yours. It's happening on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Go figure it out instead of on it and thinking it sucks. And go get your money, happiness, and that's it. Simple as that. I got no time for people complaining because it's just not true anymore. 1986? Yes. 2018? What do you think's going on? Why do you think Me Too's happening now? The internet won. It's over. Go get yours. You find what you're looking for. I've been giving a lot of thought to kind of just watching what I'm seeing out there in the social, digital ecosystem, and very honestly, just real life. And I'm watching so many people over the last 2 to 3 years look for negativity, look for something that's wrong, find where people disagree with them, fight, look for woe is me, downside, half glass empty. And then I go to a Twitter search or look around the world and I find ridiculously beautiful things every day. Every day, thousands of kind acts randomly by people. All people that I have conversations with who see the opportunities, whether it's in business like voice and AR or crypto or whatever it may be. Just this amazingly interesting thing that I feel the majority of you are looking for the wrong. While there's plenty of wrong and plenty of right in the world, it comes down to one very simple thing. What are you choosing to look for? Because I promise you, if you right now, and I'm making this video for one reason, 24 hours of trying to find the good. Somebody saves a kitten, somebody opens the door, somebody does a nice thing for you, somebody says thank you. 24 hours of looking for positivity could change your life. Honestly, making this for one person. One person watches this video, chooses to do 24 hours of looking for good instead of looking for bad, and their game changes. D-Rock heard somebody at a convenience store saying, "Mom, you're always so negative. You're always so negative." I am blown away by the fact that life gets real simple if you break it down into this. Are you looking for the negative? This sucks, this government sucks, this person sucks, this sucks. Or are you looking for the positive? She's nice, that's remarkable, I've got this opportunity. You choose what you're looking for, because what you look for, you find. That's how life works.
I know you help a lot of people start, especially younger people, but how does a person with 4 kids who's listening right now, doesn't like his job, but just can't quit and sell stuff and find stuff in the junkyard?
So if you're listening and you're over 42, let's just use my age, there's something interesting. You said something that I help a lot of people that are younger. It only has to do with one thing. They actually believe in the technology we live in, right? This room is filled with guys right now who've taken advantage of YouTube or Instagram or just the Facebooks of the world. And the only thing I need to do to break through somebody who's 47 in the suburbs of London who has a mortgage, debt, and 3 children is for them to understand that unlike when he or she and I grew up and there was no internet, the thought of like having a happy life was separate than taking care of what you were supposed to take care of. The fact that everybody can come home tonight at 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m. and then take out their phone or their iPad or whatever and get to work for 3 more hours and go to sleep at midnight, get their good 6 or 7 hours of sleep. I'm not talking about don't sleep. A lot of people get me confused. My big thing is, if you're not happy, if you're happy and you make 37,000 pounds a year, mazel tov, do you. But if you are not happy, if you hate your job, right? You can do something about it instead of blaming Brexit or blaming Trump or blaming your mom. Like, do something about it. And my point is, it's the internet.
Today I lost 50% of all the money that I have. People are ditching me because they don't want to go to a conference anymore. So I've been just full on pissed.
Right, getting shit on today.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
All today. It just
I like it.
It hit me. You know?
I like it.
And so
I like it, I'll tell you why. Because I can tell by your demeanor that you're gonna be okay. The fact that you realize that that negative moment has positive impact, the question is, why did it happen? And that's why you have to be honest with yourself. I don't know, but that's, I'm pumped that you can have you're more positive than half the people here, and it sounds like you're having a terrible day.
And today I'm feeling like, super rage. That's why I wanted to ask you, how do you keep the positivity, the calmness, when everything is hitting the fan?
Because basically when things happen, I go the other way. So tonight, I just was reminding myself every time you came and the next person came, I was just reminding myself, literally in my own head, saying, you don't mean shit. I said it to one of you. They said, how do you stay humble when you're so successful? I'm like, because I know if I die tomorrow, I'll have a good day on social media. Like most comments ever on my latest post on Instagram, everybody's gonna be like, oh, that was the last one, weird. And I know that all of you will be on with your life a week later. You have to balance your ego with humility. In the same way, when I'm having my worst day, I realize I'm the best. I'm gonna be the best that ever does this. And so the way I handle things is when something's going one way, I use all my emotional strength to push the other way. What, are you gonna cry for the rest of your life because the conference got to me, it's just like, look what the fuck's going on. Guys, if you're in this room right now, let me just remind you that there are 7.7 billion people. Literally right now, as we stand here, there are women being shipped to be strippers in parts of our world. Right now, as we stand here, there are women who are basically caged, mentally usually, and are being shipped to dance on a pole in Manhattan and in London. Like, do you understand there's genocide going on right now. Like, what do you think's going on? Like, we lack perspective. Your conference got boo-hoo. I lost a client, boo-hoo. There's people dying out there. So when Americans or Europeans talk to me about race or gender, I'm sad. It's their real life. But I remind them, because it's a positive thing, cool, but let me tell you about the person that's ranked 7 billion in the world. They have it bad. And so I struggle. Like I want to, like listen, I'm weird. I think about things like animals. Like I don't know. Like if you're the best elephant, we are still better than you. like, you know, like we got like listen, you know I got hot on this about a year ago, the 400 trillion to 1. It's impossible to be a human being. You won. I don't know how to get upset after that. I keep it in perspective, right? Like you're gonna learn from this. I promise you it's failing because of you. And when you start owning your and not blaming other people, and I think this is the kick I've been on lately on Instagram, right? Like, blame yourself. You know why I'm always happy? I blame myself. When you blame yourself for real, you're gonna always be happy because you don't feel like somebody else controls you. My big ambition is to be an all-time entrepreneur by both my success and my career, but what has become more evident to people, I think, recently is also by influencing as many people as possible in a positive way so that they get theirs. And that means the person that goes from the job that they're not excited about to making 84,000 sterling a year, being happy talking about their proper football team on Instagram and YouTube, to the young gal right now in Sweden who's gonna start a $500 million media company. So I think to be the great entrepreneur of this generation, there's clearly the Bezoses and the Elon Musks and the Zucks. I don't think I'm gonna be able to create that kind of wealth. I just want to create obnoxious amount of wealth. But $1 billion and 1 billion people, I think puts you above everybody else. And I think that is where my behavior is right now. Like, why am I doing this podcast?
But Vayner Sports, VaynerMedia, the book, K-Swiss Cheese, podcast.
Yes.
You do a lot.
Yeah, man. Look, here's what I think. I think we get one at bat. The number one thing that scares me in life is regret. I really, really, really don't want to be on my deathbed, whether that's tomorrow or when I'm 97, and think, I should have done that. I should, like, that spooks me, right? Like hard work, people judging me, leaving, trolling me on social media, like all the stuff that normal people worry about, I don't worry about. I worry about regret. And so I'm trying to squeeze everything out of my life. And so, yeah, I do a lot. Underpriced attention.
Talk about it.
My religion.
How do you find, so let's just say if it's on Facebook now, how do you say, okay, it might be on Twitter in 2 years, or how do you go about finding that underpriced attention? And how do you know it's underpriced?
Too many of you in here have ego around your time when it's the only thing you got. So the reason I always know is because I work. I try things, I test, I DM you back, I tweet, I work. So when you're in, you taste it. And when you've done it for 20 years, you see patterns. Facebook's still underpriced. You just can't target 22 to 25-year-old African-American fans of football because other people are doing that too now. It's just like Google. Early on, you could just target soccer. One word, 5 cents a click. I did it. Wine. But then I had to put, at the end of the game now, I got to put 2013, Heller Sellers, Zinfandel, like long tail. Real estate. If you're right about London, look, this is my favorite. Do you understand that somebody once bought this building for $1? Somebody bought the land we're on for $1 once. That happened. It was a long time ago. How do you know? You're a practitioner. The reason I do is how I learn. You got to put out. All of you are like, well, I can't do podcasting and Facebook and Twitter. Oh, but I can vlog, but I can't. Why? If you want it so bad. My thing is why? If you want it so bad, why can't, if you want to have a media company around Caribbean food culture, why can't you? You know what I want to see? I want to see all your minutes. I want to see all your minutes. I want to give you D-Rock for today. I want to watch you from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. Let me promise you something. You're going to get exposed. So that's why DailyVee happened. Because you guys, like a lot of you didn't know me before DailyVee. How many people knew me before DailyVee? Well, not bad, right? You got to really know me post DailyVee. You heard hard work and hustle before, you were confused. And I've been doing that every day for 20 years. Like I wasn't born 6'7" and can run like a cheetah. I could wish I was something, or I can realize I am something and try to maximize on that. It's a game of poker. You get a hand. Nobody's gonna cry for you about your hand. Nobody's gonna say, oh, it's terrible that you're not fast or tall or gorgeous or can sing. It is what it is, and now the only thing that can happen is you can figure out how to navigate it. The second you stop dwelling and the second you start doing, everything changes. They don't give a The second you understand that and just start trying to make it happen with that energy, you win.
So I'm 26. I want to be, I want to say a marriage counselor. I'm finding that every time I mention that, like, oh, you know, what do you want to do with your life? And I tell people this, their instant response is, you know, how are you going to do that? You're not married. My parents are divorced as of I was 8. Since I was 8, I'm not married.
I can answer your question right away. We're gonna build an amazing. We're gonna build an amazing case study together. I'm gonna give you 3 names. And then you're gonna cruise into the sunset of success, which is, let's figure out the 3 most successful coaches in the history of sport that everybody knows of that didn't play that sport. Bill Belichick, even though I hate him with all my guts, did not play football. He grew up in the football game, right? His dad and was a coach and what have you, but Bill Belichick did not play football. And he will probably, unfortunately, go down as the greatest, or if not one of the greatest head coaches of all time. You don't have to be, listen, I think people have to be thoughtful. I hate 22-year-old life coaches that haven't lived life, but if they speak about, here's my life experiences and why, you can eliminate, though, very quickly when somebody says to you, but how are you gonna, you can't do, first of all, a couple other questions. Are your friends and your circle telling you can't do that? Or are customers that you're trying to do that with telling you that they don't want to go with you because you're not married?
No, this is more acquaintances, people, you know, that I run into.
Yeah, so listen, that's a mistake. Like, you can't listen to acquaintances, their opinions don't matter.
Okay.
You can't listen to,
so how,
you can't listen to
how do I build that?
How do you,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. You should talk, go.
So am I, I'm like pumped. Basically, like, I wanna, because I follow you, and I've been following you for a couple of years now, and I do agree what you have to say about education. I do think people are gonna start moving from, you know, going to school and sending their kids to school to finding ways.
I've got your answer. I've got your answer, and a lot of people get up.
You know what I'm gonna ask.
Of course I know. I know exactly where you're going. So if you're not gonna get the PhD, there's only a few ways to justify and gives confidence to the end market why they would jump with you. It's crazy to me that so many people, I was watching 60 Minutes last night in the background as I was working, and the way that Oprah was justifying the person was, he has a PhD in this and a master's in that. Even 60 Minutes use those pieces of paper to create authority. In our society, pieces of paper from businesses, and that's what colleges are, has been the authority. The only other people that get authority are the people that have gone out and done it and have people co-signing them, right? Makes sense. So the way and this is why I love working for free. When you don't have a piece of paper, right? One of the reasons I love working for free is working for free for somebody who is that person in society, whether they got a piece of paper or they're Puff Daddy and they just did it, becomes the equity that you trade under once you become great at something, right? Andy, who's sitting here right now, every single famous person I see gives him a lot of street cred right away, not because he got a degree for personal branding and marketing for Virginia Tech. What degree did you get?
Political science.
Not because of his political science degree from Virginia Tech, but because he went and worked underneath me and I went out and did it, and I always give him love and good vibes. The end. It's not Babin's degree from the USC School of Film or NYU.
I dropped out.
You know, so what you need to do is one of 2 moves if you're not going to go get a PhD and have everybody comfortable with it. You either need to go work for somebody that is the authority and ask all thousands of people that are authorities and work for them, Or you need to give your services for free to 5 couples, crush it for them, and use their word of mouth and endorsements and as your leverage point. The end.
Once you got the money and you get your first paycheck and you're like, you know what, I've got some money in the bank now. Where do you go to then build that money?
I think the reason you feel it right now is about a year ago, I got into the whole mindset of like, oh crap, there's a lot of people watching me who have zero. So I started talking about the flip challenge and go to Craigslist. But in general, most of my career was talking more about people that had a little something. That's a very easy place for me. I think the answer to you or anybody who's listening is, what do you want to happen in life? I want to buy the New York Jets American football team. I've got to be on the offense. You know, but if you have a little bit of money and you don't want to work super hard for the rest of your life and you don't have ambition for all-time legacy, well, then you should put your money into Facebook and Amazon stock and watch it grow over the next 20 years and buy yourself a nice little cottage in the country when you're done. The answer to your question is completely 100% predicated on your ambition. What is the ambition that you have? If you want to buy a Premier League team, you better go on the offense and pour every one of those dollars back into hyper upside. If you want to just chill and smoke weed in Ibiza, well, then you don't have to.
Why do you hate Fridays so much?
Because I hate people that live their lives for the weekend. I'm blown away by people celebrating the end of the week. Like the weekend is your escape from your reality. It breaks my heart. My friends like live for Friday night. Like they know they get the week, like Monday morning's the worst. To live your life where you love Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, and despise Monday through Thursday or Friday morning is devastating to me because you're wasting too much of your life. Like 50% of your entire life is predicated on what you do at work. Like it's just a huge percentage of one's life. And I'm trying to put pressure on the conversation to say, if you love Friday that much, then you need to really look at Monday through Thursday and see if you can do something about it. Sunday night, I'm like chomping. I'm like a fighter before a fight, like in the dressing room. Like I can't, like I try to go to sleep early on Sunday because I can't wait for Monday because I get to put my jersey on. This is not your grandpappy's life. We have the internet. You can make it happen. You can build businesses or side hustles, take less money and like live a little more humbly to set up your next 50 years. So many of you are so hungry for short-term gains. Like maximizing the job that paid you $3,000 more, but it's not as fun, but you want that $3,000. For what? For what? For a new iPhone? For what? You get to live life one time. I'm talking about if you genuinely dislike what you do so much that you beg for Friday. Listen, I lived 12 years of this, and definitely at least 9. I just don't understand why people relegate into losing mentality and just thinking they can't. You can't because you want to be on the bowling team or softball or play video games. That's why you can't. There's plenty of time. Get done.
How do you balance clouds in the dirt, and which do you focus on more and why?
So define to everybody how I define clouds and dirt. Clouds to me is like the why, the strategy, the macro, the big thinking, the big picture, the operating system of like how you do things. And then the dirt is having the humility to go to these meetings, to actually, I post all my Instagram photos, the doing, the humility, ego, humility, strategy, execution, clouds and dirt. The way I balance it is they're both important at all times. I can swing back and forth to them. I can literally go from a meeting where, like the call I had on the way out to our first meeting here today, Puro was with VaynerMedia's C-suite about a restructuring of how we handle all our business. Super meta. And then I literally hung up and I posted something on Instagram and wrote all the copy as we were walking into our last meeting. To me, I balance them by doing whichever one is needed at the time. And so I don't think about it as balancing it. I think about it as time allocation, like what should I be doing with my time? And I think that, you know, you made a joke of like we did a shoot for a client and we debated on the phone for 10 minutes where the should be located for that. I think that's being in the middle, right? I think pandering to the way companies do things. We just had a meeting where they're like, oh, that was provocative. Us as the Gallery Media Group holds and all the other things we do, us doing what every other publishing company does is not a good idea. That's the middle. That's not gonna get you to the next place. And so for me, I'm just in the mindset of, you know, either doing humble, dirty work, like the reason I am the best strategist in social media out there, I really believe this, is because I do both. I both sit at the top of a media company that really does it at scale for the biggest companies in the world, but at the same token, there's very few humans that put out 140 pieces of content by hand a week and reads I mean, I literally just replied to Kyle in my comments, and I'm gonna show you because I don't think you guys believe me when I do these rants. I literally just replied to Kyle 1 second before Babin's like, let's do this video. Like, literally what I was doing 1 second before then was replying to literally hearted Kyle's comment of, I'm digging the recent pics and quotes, man, right? Like, many people watching here would argue that my time at this point in my career of reading Kyle's comment and hearting it in that minute was a bad use of my time. I think the dirt is the reason why I come up with such good clouds. Being in the trenches drives my strategy. I live in reality and practicality, not in thesis or ideology or reading headlines or reading about people doing marketing. So I don't balance it. I just do whatever is needed at that second. It's back to macro, micro speed. I'm just always doing something. Right, Bobby? Like, that is the big breakthrough everybody on the team says. Like, there's just every second is, and so the reason I can do something every second is, and I don't watch a YouTube video or stand by the water cooler and talk about the Rockets game for 10 minutes, is because I always value the dirt. And so in that half a second that I had right now in the transition of the call that I just had about a macro VaynerX strategy, right? The second transition I had before I started doing a macro thing like the vlog was hearting Kyle's 2 cents on my last Instagram post, clouds and dirt. One theme that I really, people are like, yo, how do I build my self-awareness? How do I build my optimism? How do I change my mindset? It's the people around you. If your best friend is Debbie Downer, you're not gonna be as optimistic as you can be. If the people that from your town that you hang out with have no ambition, you're going absolutely nowhere. If you listen to your dad every day about how the government sucks, you're not gonna love life. You've got to audit your inner circle. Podcast friends, listen to me. Listen very carefully to this mashup and these thoughts, because this underlining tone of who you surround yourself with absolutely fundamentally changes who you are. Period. End of story. When I hung out with Silicon Valley in 2005 to 2010, I was a different dude. When I hang out in the agency land right now, I'm a different dude. When I was in college at Mount Ida, different dude. Like, you're a different person. And I'm telling you right now, this morning podcast, or this podcast, because I know some of you listen to it at late, this podcast, if I can get one of you, one person listening to this, to dump one loser person in their circle and add one, whoever's that smiley, happy as person at work that you don't talk to that much, that's at a cubicle around the way, or that awesome, like that, you know how everybody has, like, you have a friend, but their friend, like, went to college with them, you don't really know them, but like the 3 times you see them a year, they're positive as and like doing things. Surround yourself with those people. Seek out your friend's friend who brings positive vibes and make them part of your world, and cut out your homie from college that thinks the world sucks. Watch what that addition and subtraction does to your life. Evan, thank you so much for having a couple seconds and being able to tell the Believe Nation a little bit about Empathy Wines. It means a lot to me that you would take this valuable real estate and time on your channel to give me some love. It means a lot. It's just good karma points, and so you're awesome. Thank you. Believe Nation, if you're into wine at all, go to empathywines.com. My whole career's work was poured into producing a wine that rivaled $40 to $60 wine for 20 bucks a bottle. I'm just super excited about this subscription-based wine business. You can order 3, 6, or 12 bottles in subscription form, rosé, white, red. If you search on Instagram or Twitter, you will be blown away. People are literally like, I don't even like GaryVee, but the wine's good. Super proud of the effort. Thanks, Evan, for the time. Wishing you guys all happy and healthy.
If you want another amazing Gary Vaynerchuk video, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
When I transitioned from wine to, let's say, entrepreneurship in my content, it was 2007, 8, 9, and we were going through a global economic crisis. And as you can imagine, as an immigrant,